It's a pleasure to have you once again this week on the Link edition. We continue to give you information you can use. Be sure that whenever you are here, if you listen carefully, there's something that you can use on one day or another. And we strive to keep that promise. Thank you for always joining us. And tonight we're discussing financial literacy, so to speak, but how you invest your money. We have touched this topic before, but because of public demand, the questions keep popping up. People who have got their 20% NSSF and then they have got a windfall, or they have sold land and they have a chunk of money and they don't want to burn it down through expenditures which they will regret. They want to put it somewhere. And we're discussing the two options today, bonds and unit trusts. In the studio, I have my guest who has been here before, and I'll bring him back again on these issues, Mr. Joseph Ereu, independent financial advisor and formerly worked with International Finance Corporation, IFC, and Uganda Development Bank. Joseph, welcome back again.
Thank you very much, Sam. Thank you.
We need to go back to these bonds. Bonds, that's government bonds or treasury bonds and unit trusts. Nowadays, there's a lot of vibe around them, but people keep on asking, explain to me. Even the other day, somebody was asking me. So first, briefly tell us, how do bonds and unit trusts work, and how can I get involved?
Thank you, Sam. Viewers, welcome, and thank you again for watching this show, and I'm glad to be back. Sam's a very good question. So bonds and unit trusts. Yeah. So essentially, what are bonds? A bond is basically a loan to the issuer of that bond. In our case, the government. So you give a loan to the government? Exactly, or the government borrows from you. Okay. Okay. So the government borrows from you, and the borrowing on certain well-specified terms. Number one, that they will pay you a certain amount of interest. Okay. To put it loosely, we call it coupons, which they usually pay every 6 months. Okay. So twice a year. And the interest rate is usually specified and fixed, okay? And then number two, after a certain agreed period of time, so it could be 10 years, it could be 20 years, it could be 2 years, you will be paid back your principal.
The money you lent them?
Well, yes, the money you put in or you invested, technically we call it the face value. Okay. of the bond. Okay. So that basically is the contract, if you like, for the bond. Okay. And there's a guarantee. You are guaranteed a certain interest or coupon, and you are guaranteed that after a period of time you'll be paid that amount. You said
they pay interest every 6 months. That means they remain with my principal.
Yes.
But the interest accrued will be paid every 6 months.
Exactly. So at least in our country, the bonds are basically structured that way. There are other types of bonds, but for purposes of our country, in our market, that's how they are structured. So they hold on to your money for that period of time agreed, and then but every 6 months they pay you that coupon. So if they said the annual interest rate is, say, 10% or 15%, so that means after 6 months they will pay you half of that.
5%.
Okay, 5% to 6 or 7%. Another 6 months they will pay you the other half, less the taxes, the withholding taxes.
We'll come to that issue. Okay.
Yes.
Let's go to unit trusts.
Yes. Now, a unit trust is an investment vehicle, okay, through which several investors, small, medium, even large-scale investors, they could be SACCOs, investment groups, individuals, they pool money, they aggregate, they pool money together under the management of a fund manager.
So there's a manager?
There is a manager, okay, very important, there is a manager. So that manager has the responsibility then of, well, of course, managing the money, but more specifically investing that money on behalf of and for the benefit of all the investors in proportion to the amount of money each investor has put in and the amount of time for how long you have put in that money. So, of course, the more money you put in, the more rewards you get. But also, if you put the money and leave it for a long time, then you are bound to benefit a lot more.
So amount and time.
Yes, are very, very crucial. In fact, yes, the amount of and time are very crucial. You can also say, of course, the interest rate or the rate of return is important. But however good the rate is, if you put the money today and next week you pull it out, well, you're not going to benefit a lot, okay? And of course, like I said, the amount. Now, this money, as I said, number one is managed, very important. But number two, it's regulated by the Capital Markets Authority. I mean, the investment is regulated by the Capital Markets Authority. And number three, it is invested within strict terms as stipulated in what we call the investment policy document, which is managed by what we call a trustee.
Let's quickly go, Joseph, to the issue of how do I get involved? Let's start with bonds.
Right.
I hear this bond, I have my 10 million.
Yes.
How do I get involved?
Okay. So government issues bonds once every month. Okay, and it's usually published in the press. And the bonds are usually issued or administered through the commercial banks. Basically, all licensed banks are eligible to administer this bond. So basically, all you need to do, so two things you need to do. Firstly, you need to open an account, okay? Securities, what we call a securities deposit account.
SCD.
Okay, exactly. And CSD, Central Securities Deposit Account. Okay. And that's a simple, straightforward process. You just get forms. You go to your bank.
With my bank.
They'll give you forms. But you can also download those forms through the internet. You go to Bank of Uganda website. You download those forms. You fill them. You'll need some passport size photos and basically straightforward requirements, national ID. And within about 2 days, that account should be open. Okay. Once that account is open, then once government announces that, look, on the following day, we are going to issue this particular bond on the following terms, then you basically go to your bank. You don't need to go to Bank of Uganda, you go to your commercial bank, whether it is Centenary or Post Bank or ABSA.
They should give us money for advertising.
Exactly. Exactly. They then will be able to basically bid for the bond on your behalf. Okay. So some of them will charge you something small, some will not charge you anything. They will tell you the terms under which they do that.
Unit Trust, how do I get involved?
Unit Trust, how do you get involved? Very simple. So there are about 4 or 5 licensed fund managers in our country. I can name them. I'm not advertising for them, but this is public information. You have Old Mutual, you have Sanlam, you have ICEA, you have Britam, you have Zeno. Okay.
And Stanbic of late.
And the Stanbic there, I might have forgotten a few, but yes. The main point is that should be a licensed fund manager. Okay.
So I have my 10 million.
So you have your 10 million. Basically, get the application forms to open an account with that particular fund manager, all right? And fill it, send it to them. They will obviously require what we call KYC, know your customer, documentation, national ID, passport size photo, and you have to prove that you have an account with a commercial bank. Once all that is in order, they open the account for you, and then you deposit your 10 million through a bank which they designate as what we call a custodian bank. Okay, so this money doesn't go to that particular fund manager's account. It goes to a custodian bank. So you go to that bank, any branch of that bank, and you can deposit the money there. In some cases, you can even use mobile money to transfer your money to that account. You can transfer money from, through EFT.
Account, yes.
Absolutely. So, and basically that is the process. And every month they will be sending you statements telling you the status of your account, how it is growing, and that kind of thing.
Time is running out on us.
Yes.
And I feel, but a quick question.
Yes.
Which is better? My 10 million, I'm thinking bonds, I'm thinking unit trusts. We sort of have like 2 minutes.
Okay.
Which one is better?
Okay, which one is better? That is not a very good, that's not a good way to put it, Sam, because each of these products serve a certain purpose. So viewers, you will remember I told you some time back, the first most important question you should ask yourself is why? What is the objective of me investing this money? Because that will determine whether you should buy a bond or unit trust or indeed something else. Okay, so if you are looking for a bond, usually the reason for buying a bond would be to get regular, predictable income.
Every 6 months.
Every 6 months. So that's why a bond would be good for a retiree. You don't have a salary anymore, okay? But you are used to a well-planned financial life. So a bond comes in very perfect, okay? So regular income. Number two, a bond will be useful if you want to plan what we call liability management. That means, suppose you have, say, school fees, you have to pay, you know that every semester, which is about half a year, you have to pay a certain amount in school fees.
Let's go to unit trust.
Exactly.
In 1 minute, Joseph.
Exactly.
So unit trust.
Yes.
How would I apply we can't say which is better. So unit trust, who goes to unit trust?
So unit trust would be excellent if you are looking for growth.
Okay.
So you have your income, but this is money you want to grow over time.
You're not in a hurry to spend it.
Absolutely. A unit trust comes in very handy. Why? Because it compounds over time. Remember we talked about compounding. The interest is reinvested and that accelerates the growth. So a unit trust is excellent for growth purposes.
Thank you very much, John. I cut you short.
It's
I feel very bad. Viewers, honestly, you can rally for me to get more time so that you get, because we have not discussed the risks of going to which one as we wanted to do, but as I promised, I brought him back. I'll bring him back more on these topics. Probably we'll do a special session online for you if we find the opportunity. That was the link. Thank you for joining us tonight.